what organizations you're involved in. Within Freemasonry, it depends on what lodge you're a member of. It's interesting because Masonry, at its core, is very decentralized. So different lodges can have different activities. There are some things that all Masons do. They seek to improve themselves through lessons and teachings. They seek a bond of fraternal brotherhood, and they seek to gain wisdom and philosophy and understanding and knowledge. But as far as the actual um, activities are concerned, you have the monthly business meeting, which no one's going to get excited about, but it's really, okay, so what do you do outside of that business meeting? And some of it is getting together, hanging out. Some of it is like Mike's Lodge, going and crushing cans for charity. My lodge, Acacia Lodge, is it cares a whole lot about the Clifton, Virginia community. So we get out several times a year, and as part of the community, helping clean up the Clifton area, or helping contribute to festivals and things of that nature. So I tell them that Masons, generally speaking, they seek to improve themselves through brotherhood, knowledge, and learning, and they often have a civic responsibility and community service aspect to them, which is a natural extension of trying to make themselves better people and better men. So that's really my boilerplate answer to when someone asks me that question. Well, what do you actually do?
I love it. I love it. Okay, so we've heard from Juan, we've heard from Jason, and let's hop over to Robert, who's looking very contemplative. He's got his like Steve Jobs pose, black shirt, deep in thought.
I want to introduce to you Masonry Plus,
the Amity app.
Yep. So
is it going to be like Google Plus, where it got deprecated because nobody wanted it?
Yeah, why not? Anytime anybody asks me about Freemasonry, let me think. Right, nobody ever has, actually. True story. I always feel like I'm ready with the elevator pitch. I went away from the pitch attitude. Like in my 10 or 11 years in Masonry now, I've never actually been asked, "Oh, you're a Freemason. What's all that about?" Like in terms of actual interest, right? So I have like this pitch that was in the back of my head forever, and I never got to use it. And now I'm at a place where it's a little different, right? Like I'm a little bit more grumpy past mastery. I'm a little bit more pessimistic about things. But I'm absolutely always trying not to let that come through. So I would say if somebody were to ask me what we do in a lodge, well, I get that you're a fraternity. I get this and that and the other. What do you actually do in a lodge? Is probably three things, right? And for me, that is ritual initiation, fellowship, and the third thing is kind of holistic and kind of weird sounding, but maybe you did this. Maybe in high school or college, you ran a project where you had to run a pretend company and you had a pretend CEO and all these things, right? And I kind of feel like a lodge is a pretend company that you have to try to keep afloat. And if you don't, you really lose a charter. And nothing you guys actually do in the business meeting truly affects anything outside. So it's kind of insular. Maybe you're going to change the toilet seat, maybe not. Some lodges, lots of lodges, actually do some great community things that do affect the outside, but largely, I don't think there's anything out there today that is exclusively funded by Freemasonry that if Freemasonry went away, that thing would go away. Like not even Shriners Hospitals, because I think it's like less than X number of dollars, comes from the shrine. It's just such a big world we live in that dollars come from everywhere. So I would say we probably do those three things, which is completely different from the mystique that's always written about. It's kind of funny. We have all this stuff that we write about and we say it is, and then there's reality. You ever see that book that's like the OSHA handbook for doing XYZ? And then there's like the thinner book that says how we really do it. So it's a lot. It's truly, it's everything. What do you guys do? We do everything. And that's just it. Like, what makes us different? We have a strict ritual that we adhere to. And sometimes the weight of the lessons are so heavy, it actually forces us to do some introspective work. It actually forces us to do some outside charitable works, maybe coming together as a lodge to do a highway cleanup or whatever it might be. But that's kind of it. It's a hard question because I think what I'm looking for in Freemasonry is much, much different than the vast majority of what other people are looking for.
See, that's the hard part. Is I was trying to think of,
Yep.
do you answer what you think it should be, what we say that we are, or what we actually do, right?
And that is really hard, John, because
how am
when
I
you
in front of
think
my
about
coworkers? How am I in front of a new date? Right.
right? Like,
How
like
am
if
I
you
when
say
I'm
how
driving
it
down the
is-
street?
Yes.
If you say how it is, what if it's not what you're into, and then you kind of sound like you're crapping on it.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's an answer you have to really tailor to the person who's asking. Like Juan said, he avoids the word fraternity. I absolutely would avoid the word fraternity today because it is a negative word today.
It's loaded, right? Mm-hmm.
It's totally loaded, right? Like, I love that it's a fraternity, but I also understand that one guy that I approached who I had a mentee at work, he was totally turned off by the idea that it was not equal. You know, dude is valedictorian, super smart guy, would like totally sold by craftsmanship, right? Like old school shaving and handmade soaps and leather stuff, like all like the kind of classic gentleman brotherhood stuff, but not into the what they would call inequality is largely is perceived. I don't know. That's just some beginning thoughts, I guess, in this episode.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Absolutely fair. How about you, Hammy?
So I've never actually been asked the question much. I mean, I've actually described what it is we do in a similar way to RJ talking about it, but my wife was asked once what we do, and her response was we collect pins. Because of the lapel pins thing.
Where's the lie, though? Where's the lie?
It's not a lie. But yeah, that was funny. She was asked that at work, and they're like, yeah, as far as I know, they collect these lapel pin things, and yeah, we do that, but it's obviously much more than that. But it's the fellowship. It's it's getting to know other men as men, in a more private and intimate setting, in an intimate way that is different than anything else we're ever taught to do. And it's, yeah, I get the leaving out the word fraternity because, I can remember hearing, there's no hazing. Well, wait a minute. Isn't that what an initiation was back then? Hazing? Well, hazing is actually much worse than that now. I understand, but when I first started hearing about hazing, it was more like, wait a minute, swallowing the goldfish, isn't that the initiation into, some of these fraternities? Now you can't do that and, shoot the beer, So
It was delicious, though.
We told you, John, you're not supposed to
Oh,
chew
wait,
it.
Yeah.
son of a gun.
Yeah. And me saying that about the hazing part, I've never been a member of a college fraternity, so I couldn't even tell you
Right.
what really ever happened there,
Mhm.
Well, it's interesting because we get some folks who are naturally apprehensive about going through an initiation ritual because they've heard things, or they, had a bad experience in college. And, I just kind of direct them over to the sidelines, and I say, okay, you see, Richard over there, he's 85 years old, and he's been a Mason for about 3 years. So if he can go through it, then you can probably go through it.
Yes.
Yep. And I would agree with that. And that's my dad, same thing. He was a perfect example, 72 years old and went through it, If he can go through it, you're not swallowing goldfish and, not crawling under tables. And
I don't want to derail this, but I just want to throw this out there, right?
But you're going to do it anyway. Okay.
Yep. I just can't bite my tongue sometimes. What can I say? Anybody can go through the initiation because it's really like blasé.
Well,
it
fantastic.
Depends.
It depends.
It's fantastic, and but we're not. I'm not. You're not getting scared to death. You're not being shocked into anything. Mm-hmm. And if you're not, then I might argue that there's no real initiation there. I'm one of these people who feels like the closest thing, the only initiation, the only one, is the near-death experience.
Well, yeah, that's certainly many authors, and including modern Masonic authors, have said exactly that they're, this history of initiatic experiences, they all have that in common. But, well, so, the other way
I don't know.
The way I see it too, it's less of the pitch, right? So we weren't trying to go for the pitch. We've done the elevator pitch episode in the past, and what we're really trying to talk about tonight is when people ask you, okay, so what do the Masons do in like a meeting, in like a regular meeting? Why is that so secret? Why can't I show up? Right? Why do you tile it? Because all I hear is the jokes about green beans, right? And
because if you knew what happened in a lodge meeting, you'd never want to join.
Where's the lie, though? But it is interesting because, like, in some jurisdictions, including Virginia, what you discuss in a tiled meeting to a certain degree is like off limits for discussion outside of the lodge meeting. It is a Masonic offense.
That is really odd.
Yeah, it really is.
I got in trouble for live tweeting the Grand Lodge sessions a few years back. Nothing crazy I announced. I was just like, hey, we recognized so-and-so, and I got talked to about that, and I thought that was interesting. But also,
poor
Jason,
Harambe.
that was the same year. So I wonder what you said, Jason, about if you knew you wouldn't join, and I think if that's true, it's because we're not following through with our promise of making the good man better through other means. But like in a lodge meeting, I mean, I'm just thinking, in a lodge meeting, what do I actually do?
So I will say that was a bit tongue in cheek.
I know, but there's an element of truth to there. I mean, we talk about guys who don't come back because they come to the first meeting. Chris Hodap talks about all the time, right? The first meeting after you're raised is
right,
the
your fourth meeting. You're right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the important one. So, as a secretary in a lodge meeting, I take a lot of notes. That's what I do.
Fair enough.
I mean, I got to listen.
So what I would say in general, okay, so again, just talking to someone who knows nothing about the Masons. Oh, I've heard of the Masons. What is it that you guys do in a typical lodge meeting? You can say that we have to run the operations and maintenance of the building and our brethren, right? We have incomes, expenditures, so we have to handle that. We talk about rituals and symbols and philosophies that are unique to our organization. And we have, we discuss where the lodge wishes to focus its charitable efforts. Right. So I think those are the three main things that we can say honestly that we do inside of most tiled, secured lodge meetings. Right? We have to run the lodge. We have some sort of education in some way, shape, or form, and then we do discuss how we are going to better either ourselves and or the community through any charitable work that we might do. Am I missing anything? Right.
Would you agree with the statement? Would you agree with the statement that you could say it's like a city hall meeting that you can't go to?
It shouldn't be like that. Here we go back into what it is, what we wish it were, and what we were promised. But
maybe we say, maybe it's we do a lot of things in a meeting, that we run an organization. So whatever that means is a large umbrella. But there is also exemplifications of Masonic teachings, which are morality lessons and things like that, that occasionally come out in a meeting and come out at varied times, like salt and peppered in. So that's why you can't come, because we never know how organically something might just spill out.
Well, there's something to be said for the business aspect too. Like you think about going to a corporate board meeting where they're discussing proprietary information, financials, things of that nature. I see that as one of the main reasons why the meetings are closed. Just because it's really going through that a great deal of that proprietary, as it were, and financial information about the health of the organization, that is kind of a stakeholders only meeting.
Right. So it's a combination of the two, right? That we have the catch-all, that we lock it down just in case, and that we do discuss business that's really only appropriate for members to hear. Doesn't mean it's bad, secret, evil, baby sacrificing, but it is stuff that it's really what you're doing with the members' money, if you want to think of it that way. Another thought that came to mind too is if you think about like secret government work, right? They have these secure facilities that will, everyone inside of that, they can talk to a higher classification level. And is everything they say at the top secret level? Probably not. But just in case, they can talk up to that level, right? To RJ's point about it's a catch-all, that while some of the stuff, most of the stuff, 5 years worth of TMR says that there are many things we can talk about without being in the lodge, the tiled lodge building. But just in case, there are those instances where we may talk about something secret squirrel, and it's there as a catch-all. So, thoughts? Yes, agreed. Total agreement. Hearing no dissentment. Majority rules.
Are we in a lodge meeting right now?
Yeah. Wait. Yeah.
Kind of.
Mike, I need you to put away that ritual book. Those aren't allowed to be open during the meeting.
And the phones. To Juan, I see you on your phone. That's going to be $100 to the Grand Lodge charity. See, that's what we need. We need to do a live simulation of what an actual lodge meeting would be like.
Yes, we're not get expelled by our respective
sans ritual, right? But
you guys would, it
would be like, hey, wake up, Jason, the past master. He's snoring.
He's snoring in the corner.
The lodge meeting we would all put together would be so much more entertaining than any lodge meeting anybody's ever been to.
Well, isn't that what we're in?
What do you guys do in lodge? Well, we drink beer. We talk about the issues.
Wait a minute. You drink beer in lodge? Wait a minute. I can't wait to go there.
Philosophy. Wait a minute.
There is no beer allowed in any lodge.
We meet in a tavern. Yeah.
In Illinois, I should say.
Yeah. In Ohio either.
Now, New Jersey, on the other hand.
What's the biggest seller? So, like, if somebody says, "What do you do in the lodge?" What's the one thing that you think would make them say, "Oh"?
Well, I'll tell you what. So what I would be interested in is when I know that there's going to be, what the topic of the Masonic education is going to be. That's I'm going to say it. That's the only reason I go to lodge. I love the brotherhood. I can meet brothers at work and hang out and have that brotherhood anywhere, anytime. But if someone's like, "Hey, we're going to talk about, how Freemasonry influenced the golden age in the founding of the Netherlands in the 1700s," I'm like, that might be see. That's interesting. That's fascinating. not for Juan, past Master Juan in the corner there, but getting able to talk about some specific philosophical constructs based off of some of the systems of morality that we're introduced to. Now you got me piqued. You've got me interested, and I'll show up for that. If it's, hey, we're going to recognize, the 90-year pin for past master, Agnes Humperdinck. If I'm there, great. I'll congratulate him on his milestone for having a pulse, but otherwise, that won't bring me to lodge. That won't be the exciting part of lodge that I would want to go tell someone out in the public. Hey, you know what? You got to be a Mason, because the things we talk about in there are life-changing, life-impacting, and make me a better person. When are you going to join?
That's it. Like, that is the only reason I go to lodge also. And the only reason many guys go to lodge, and that's why I started my own lodge with a couple other guys, and that's every stated meeting is 20 minutes, and then it's an hour and a half of education, and we're all really excited to go. I think we kind of built our lodge around Hodap's laudable pursuit, but it's got to be that drive. There has to be that education for me to go. And again, I think if somebody told me, "Oh, we're going to this really cool meeting later where you're going to talk about, Pythagoras' 27 golden verses or something," I'm like, "Oh, that sounds fantastic. Can I go?" Nope. Why not? You got to have an initiation.
Oh,
Instantly, I'm piqued.
yes.
Yeah, that would hit home for me too, John. What about you, Juan? You Mike?
Yeah, I mean, so Michael Juan. So we have charities. Would that be enough of a draw to say, "Hey, we discuss how we're going to, contribute to this charity or that charity"? Is that something that
I don't think so?
Come on, we could help the community, feed the homeless kittens.
We don't need a middleman.
We got to do this.
I help them on my own. Damn it.
Well, it depends. Honestly, that kind of stuff, it depends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong on this, but I know a lot of guys that wouldn't mind going to discuss that. But the other side to it is, okay, now we're discussing it. Now we're discussing how much work I have to put into that. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't want to work. I'm not, but I got other things I want to do, and yet that's what happens. We all go there, and suddenly we're being told, well, we need 15 guys to come and make pancakes for the pancake breakfast, or take care of the spaghetti dinner, or we need some guys to come over and crush cans for hours on end to get these all crushed, and then somebody's got to take that truck and haul them on over for recycling. I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's all wonderful to for the end result, but it's getting there that is boring. It's not what we signed. It's not what we all want to sign up for.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And if let's say this, for example, how sometimes when you put together a group of people to come up with ideas for a product, and you have, let's say, a focus group, and you have this product developer. They have some preconceived ideas of the product they want to create, and then they put all these people in a room and they start asking questions. And one of the most effective questions that I've seen is, okay, in order for you to achieve this, if you had unlimited budget, unlimited time, how would it look? Describe it to me. Go nuts. Like, even if you have to bring in teleportation, telepresence, whatever you want, just how does it look for you? Now, if you do that for Masons, and you can take notes about how the vision that they had was, without, just imagine you're starting from scratch. How is the lodge meeting going to look? In my opinion, it's going to look kind of like the lodge that RJ has been working on, Spes Novum. So that is part of what we need to do. Now, can everybody do that today? If you have a lodge that has, that's dragging, a 1,000 pounds of, that's not how I did it, that's not how it works, this is not how we do it, then you can't. But what can you do then? And here's one thing that I suggest, which I've been talking about recently, and it's having those small increments. And I call it steadfast progression, where you establish, okay, this is the vision of how I want my lodge to look in 10 years. In order for me to get there, I need to start with this little step. And here's one that brothers can try on their very next meeting. And this is from something that I've been doing lately. Look for your lodge's history, when it was started, by whom. See if there's anybody that was recognized in the community, like a mayor, a governor, or something like that. And take 1 minute of the meeting, just 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute to 1 minute. You see my Spanish like peek through there. 1 minute. Take 1 minute and and talk about it, right? And try to be dynamic if you can. I'll give the example that I give is the year in which we started Orange Blossom Lodge. I gave a presentation where we were talking about that our lodge was under dispensation in 1884 and 1884. I'm mixing my numbers, but nevertheless, I was really prepared that night with my numbers. I started talking to brothers about the year that we were under dispensation. And to most, it was like, okay, big deal. Like, I'm sure other stuff was happening. But I said, at the same time, in Georgia, this was happening. And I started talking about the story of Brother John Pemberton, the founder or the inventor of Coca-Cola. Like, at the same time that my lodge was being created, this man was dealing with opium addiction. He was a member of Columbia Lodge. And this brother was dealing with addiction, trying to formulate something to wane off of his opium addiction, and stumbled upon one of the top beverage creations in the history. Now, brothers, when they think about when we started putting together a lodge, they are thinking of those ties. It didn't take me more than a minute to plant that seed. After the lodge meeting, a bunch of us were gathered together talking about that and other things that were happening at the same time. And it brought some energy that night to a meeting that otherwise was just minutes and correspondence and budget and this and the other. So I challenge brothers out there. If you are starving or you're thirsty for some Masonic education, or at least some stimulating conversation, even if it's not strictly Masonic education, bring it. Take a minute and bring it. How many brothers stand up and talk for 10 minutes about grease traps and other kinds of stuff? Yeah, the gun raffle, and no one wraps them down. No one can wrap you down for talking about something good.
So what beverage did he create?
It was Coca-Cola.
Oh, there you go. That's the end of the story. The punchline.
Coke is #1 in the world.
Opioids.
Yep.
Opioids.
It used to be very, very spicy.
It's still spicy. I love a good Coke.
Not Coke spicy.
Cocaina.
No, it used to have
I
the
would-
Coca plant.
It's all about It's all about coca tea and packing that coca leaf. I'll tell you what.
Back in the day when you said you needed a Coke, you did.
I mean,
that's true.
What do you mean back in the day?
Hey,
Yeah.
build up that repeat market, right? Get them
Yeah.
hooked.
Hey, before the
That's
FDA,
fascinating.
man.
I did something similar, Juan. I was going through Waukegan's minutes. I wasn't the historian or anything. I was just going through the minutes, trying to digitize everything. I initially wanted to make a history website for Waukegan because I was fascinated by the history of the lodge, which I don't like history like that. I'm not like some crazy Americana, yay, dude. But it was so fascinating. Like I felt it when I read some things. I've said it before on the show. I read minutes where it said that they draped the charter for a period of an entire year for the death of the quote unquote supreme magistrate, Abraham Lincoln. I was like, what? That kind of stuff. When I talked about that in Lodge, guys just get, they get cranked on. It's pretty awesome. And you're a Lodge historian, right?
Yeah, I am the lodge historian, and I'm trying to do something different. My predecessor, he's an amazing brother that has been, he's now one of the commissioners in here in town. So he has access to archives. So he's done a great job before me, and I feel that my part in dealing with the history of the lodge is to give these kind of presentations and put together some interesting ways. So using my strengths in order to bring some excitement into the historical aspect, because it's not everybody's cup of tea. But if you present it in an interesting enough way, you'll get brothers' attention. Talking about brothers' attention, I wanted to say thank you to Chris Maddie for doing a super chat, and for the brothers that are listening to us, watching us on Facebook live. What is super chat? Well, brothers like Chris Maddie, they have subscribed to the Masonic Roundtable on YouTube and click the notification bell. So whenever we go live, they are the first ones to find out that we're recording. So he jumps in there and can have a conversation in real time with us. So if you haven't subscribed to the Masonic Roundtable yet, I invite you to do so that we can stay connected.
And we can't forget
you,
about
Chris.
Lucas S. as well. Lucas gave us a super chat asking Robert to grow back his facial hair because he looks like a petulant child.
See, he's always had facial hair. It was just you couldn't tell under the other platform. So
That's right.
That's true.
Yeah.
The lighting.
Actually, so many people asked. So yes, I'm not wearing my glasses. I have my contacts in right now. I normally don't wear my contacts except on the weekends. Number two, I shaved my beard down to match the length of my budding mustache because, there it is. Look at it.
Look at that. Ooh.
Glorious. It's going to be like,
like
I'm going to go for Don Quixote or something. Joe Martinez super chatted last week, and I think it was like $2.67, and said, grow a mustache. So this is what you get. It's not as...
For $2, you can get RJ to grow a mustache.
I feel like you should probably give him his money back.
I mean...
where's the live-o?
Satisfaction, not guaranteed.
No refunds or exchanges.
You need the Thomas Magnum mustache.
Oh, I'll have it. Just give me a minute. It's not as thick and luxurious as Juan's, but I'll have it.
That's true.
Wait.
Juan actually stopped shaving this morning.
Swarthy.
Yeah.
Swarthy.
This is 5 o'clock shadow.
Damn. Sexy.
So
yeah.
just looks like snow on the mountain.
Very spicy.
All right. Well, this has been great to talk about a topic that's been on the back burner for a while because it's something that seems so easy, but yet has so many different angles you could look at it. How would you approach the question of, so what is it the Masons do exactly? And as you can see, it's hard to answer. We have lots of people interacting live, or you can interact later, either on YouTube comments or on the the MasonicRoundtable.com. Either way, what would you say? Because we're all trying to not have something at the ready, not have a canned speech, not have something that doesn't mean anything, but just the opposite. We want to work together as a collective, round table of Masons to figure out how do we get our act together and come up with something solid that will really not only tell the truth but be compelling and interesting of how we bring people in. So I think it's about time we go around the horn for final thoughts, shameless plugs, and anything else that we want to add under the new format. So, in no particular order, let's start with Mike the intern. Mike.
So, it's real easy. I mean, we make good men better. That's what we actually do. But in any case, you're right. It's hard to answer that question. You have to know the guy asking the question too. Especially if it's somebody who's possibly interested in joining, or is it just someone who's asking because they've heard of it, but they have no idea what it is or why they would even care, So that's the big thing. You have to know what your audience is asking, and then take it from there and kind of gauge, each approach. Do you tell them how, it's just meetings and, when you just explain why it is they can't be there? It's like being on a board at Coca-Cola with their secret mix, and you can't know the secret, and you can't know. I mean, none of us are allowed to sit in on the board meeting at Coca-Cola or over at General Motors or Ford or even Honda. We just aren't. It's because that's their private business, and that's what our side is when it comes to the business stuff. But then beyond that, we can tell you what we do,
Mm-hmm.
and our job in telling you what we do is to try and, be truthful, but also make it enticing enough to bring other people in. So anyway, that's my take on all of this, and have a good evening.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Let's go to, Robert. Final thoughts, shameless plugs, etc., etc. Take it away.
Taking it away. You said it earlier that this is a difficult topic because without putting constraining parameters around how we're supposed to respond to this, as you talked about before, what we want it to be versus what it is, how do I tailor the message to the person? And I think that's really the answer. You have to tailor the answer to the person a little bit, and also be honest with yourself about your goal. Are you just informing them, or are you trying to plant some seed that they want to join? I used to want to be asked and want people to say, "What's Masonry about?" and then be able to give a response that made them say, "Where's the damn petition? I want it right now." And I'm not sure that's the way to go anymore, right? Like when we're talking about quality over quantity, I think the right people will ask and be ready to take that step, regardless of what the answer really is, right? Because they know how it should be and they'll work toward that. Somebody in the chat on YouTube asked, how do you get a lodge to focus more on the education and stray away from the business? I think there's a lot of ways you can do that. And I think I took the hardest / easiest way, which was to start a new lodge. And to do that, my answer to get a lodge to focus on education, just to tell you, was to create a set of bylaws that made it impossible to stray away from it. So just take that for what it's worth. I think Maynard from the Tyler's Place podcast did a segment a while back where he walked around the streets of DC and asked people about what Masonry was. And that was really interesting to me too, because people didn't know. They're the creepy guys by the library or whatever it was that they said. And I thought that was kind of eye-opening. So we need to be aware of our public, a perception of the public in the fraternity when we talk about what we actually do and what we are. I think those are my thoughts on the episode. I would invite you to check out Whence Came You, Sunday nights, 9:30 every week. This week, we've got a great interview with Brother Patrick Day, Worshipful Brother Patrick Day from the Rocky Mountain Mason magazine, which is a fantastic interview, a new Masonic Minute with Steve Harrison. And I want to let everybody know to check out MasoniconChicago.com. It's coming in September of 2020. I cannot reveal who's a speaker yet or anything. I have everybody worked out, but go to MasoniconChicago.com, September of 2020, and sign up for the emails so that you're the first to know when the tickets go on sale. We announce who the speakers are. It's going to be a 3-day event. There it is. I'm hoping that everybody can make it. It will be 150 tickets, which are going to be sold, and that's it. So we're really limiting. It is not going to be Master Mason only. So anybody can come to this. So the audience for the event is going to be much larger. There's going to be a lot of pressure probably to grab tickets when we put them out. So just wanted to throw that out there as a plug. Check it out, get on the email list, and be the first to know what's happening and when it's going to happen. So thanks very much. And we'll work on this mustache a little bit over the next week, huh?
You better, because everyone's commenting on it. So.
I know, it's the talk of the town, baby.
But that's super exciting to have a central Masonicon for once, right? That's super exciting. Okay, next up, Juan Sepulveda.
All right. It is a tough question to answer, especially when you're not ready for it, and it's almost inevitable that you see you catch yourself giving an answer and you're like, it didn't sound right. Almost like you want to make sure that you give a better explanation for what it is. So I hope that you've gotten some ideas of this, but more importantly, that you actually stop and think, what is it that we do in Masonry? Like, really think for yourself. Like, when you go to Lodge, what is it that you do in Lodge? And would you be excited or proud to say, oh yeah, this is what we do? And I'm not saying like the ideal, we take good men and we make them better and we teach this. No. Like, what do you actually do? Like you go to this place and do, sit down here and we talk about all these clerical parts. Like, if there's not enough there for you to be super pumped and for you to be able to convey the importance of someone else joining you, then some things have to change. Hopefully you got some ideas here. If you don't have many ideas, we invite you to join the conversation. Because we have access through the internet now to thousands upon thousands of brothers from all over the world who've had the same question, who've had the same challenge of finding meaningful ways to actually engage with the brothers. Very quickly, I wanted to say thanks to a few of the brothers that are watching us live on Facebook. I recognize a few faces. Brother Douglas Berry, who is part of the Winding Stairs team. Thank you so much for your help. We have Brother Chris Williams, who paid a visit to Orange Blossom Lodge recently. Brother, it was good to meet you, and it was a great time to spend with you. So thank you for being joining us live here today. And also to our brothers who are on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. D.A. Garcia was talking about the importance of covering this topic. Don't let the conversation die here. Keep it going online. And finally, talking about meaningful Lodge conversations, I invite you to go to YouTube and subscribe to The Winding Stairs. This week, I'm publishing a video of a conversation I had with Brother Manny Lozada from Orange Blossom Lodge, where we discuss how do you make your Lodge meetings more meaningful. We hope you find it edifying. Thank you, brothers.
That came up tonight in the topic, so very timely. Very good. Next up, Jason Richards. Over to you.
All right. Wow. Such a great discussion tonight, such a great topic, and honestly, it's one that I've struggled with answering for quite some time, because I'm like, well, how do you make like business meetings sexy? And the fact of the matter is, you really don't. It's all of the other things that we do in the service to this great fraternal organization. See, I didn't say fraternity there. That makes folks want to join. It's the initiatic experience, it's the seeking of knowledge, it's the education, it's the fellowship, and those are the things that keep me coming back to Masonry time and time again. So thanks everybody for watching. Excited that we're on YouTube and Facebook now. It's absolutely fantastic. Appreciate all of the support from our brethren, especially in the YouTube super chats tonight. If you're interested in listening to some more podcasts, you should check out the most recent episode of The Winding Stairs, because I'm on there with Brother Nicholas Lane from Castle Island Virtual Lodge, and we're talking about virtual lodges and what their role in Freemasonry is, what it could be, perhaps what it should be. So it's a really interesting discussion that the three of us had around my dining room table, and I hope you all enjoy it. Let me know what you thought about it. Looking forward to hearing your comments. Next week is going to be a lot of fun, because we are a week and change away from Camp Masonry. So Robert, Mike, and I are going to be heading down there Friday night, or well, Friday morning, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm unveiling 2 new presentations that I'm still working on. It's a good thing I don't have much planned for this weekend, and it'll be phenomenal. I'm looking forward to just hanging out with brethren, getting some mosquito bites, and just having a good time. So thanks so much for watching. Looking forward to seeing you all back next week.
Jason, I have to just, you guys, everybody out there, I don't know if anybody knows this, but I fanboy on Jason's presentations, so I'm super stoked. So you guys got to come on, check it out.
It's quality. It is. It really is.
The
Okay.
the one on how to conduct Masonic research is pretty banging. So I'm
Nice.
excited about it. Yeah.
Very cool. That's a new one, right?
Yeah. Oh, they're both new.
Nice. Wow. 2 for 1.
It's just I'm further in the research one than I am on the archetypes and the development of the 3rd degree one.
Awesome. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's over to me now. Let's see. Just also want to give a shout out to Art Monk for the Beard Improvement Fund. He chipped in a couple bucks on the super chat. Mr. Jacobs also wanted to comment on the porn stash, pure 70s porn stash effort. So a lot of love for the stashes tonight. Indiana Bryan, Joe Martinez, hashtag Masons with stashes, and we talked about support from D. Garcia about covering a tough topic, and Brian, who gave us 357 for the great new video format. So this has been awesome to get some support to keep this thing going. So we've enjoyed it, and yeah, a tough topic, but we should have something at the ready. If you don't have something at the ready, make sure you practice it now. So when someone says, "So what do you guys do?" Well, I'll tell you what we do. We do this, this, and this. And this is what makes me a better person. And that's, again, what we should all be aspiring towards. If you're not getting to be a better person, right? We take men and make them better men. If you're not getting that by the things that you say we do, it's time to shop around. And we encourage that. But otherwise, great conversation, great new tech, great new conversations, and great to have a full house tonight as well. And we will see you next week as we continue with the Masonic Roundtable. So for all of you in Facebook land, and even Grubkin Tittlefits, who just added in a little bit at the last minute. I love these guys who just, at the last minute, show us some love, and we love you back. That we do appreciate you watching us on YouTube and on Facebook and anywhere else that we can come to you for Masonry. Thank you very much for watching, and keep searching for more light. Have a good night.